So today we'll be switching roles, and instead of hearing from the perspective of a Brazilian living in the United States, we'll be hearing from the point of view of an American who's been to Brazil. And it's my dearest friend, Bridget, who happens to be my roommate as well. And she will be talking to us about a little bit of the cultural shock and the differences she felt going there, and all that fun stuff. So the first question is, what used to be the first thing that popped into your mind before you've been to Brazil?
I think a lot of Americans tend to think of the word Brazil and automatically think, oh, it's exotic, you know, there's something that's so different and exciting and tropical, but you know, you immediately think exotic, and so that was my first thought.
All right. What was the first thing that you thought when you got there?
Well, I was really tired. I was on the plane for 10 hours just in my second flight. And let me remind you that I lost my bags in Rio on the way, and nobody spoke English. Even though it was right before the World Cup, nobody spoke English. There was nobody in this massive airport, and so I was freaking out and I was tired. But when I finally got to Porto Alegre, it was such a nice feeling because we went and got the
pastel.
Yeah, and so I had a very good first impression. Also, the highways, I've been to Europe several times, and the highway signs and the, I don't know, just the environment of that, it felt like Europe. So it was kind of odd. But I guess maybe that's because a lot of the German settlement.
Yeah, I think that has something to do with it too. Absolutely. Okay. And what do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about the country, the people, the culture?
Well, I know that a lot of people think that Brazil as a country can be pretty unsafe and unruly, but I freak out about everything, and I was so nervous, but when I got there, it was not once did I ever feel threatened or feel uncomfortable. It was nothing but, you know, just everybody being welcoming and inviting, and so that's definitely a big misconception that Americans have.
Good. Well, that's great. Okay, next question. What advice would you give to an American who's going to Brazil?
Definitely the biggest thing I would say is learn a little bit of basic information you need to know about getting around in Brazil. Basically, some small things in Portuguese that you could say, asking directions, asking the time, asking for a phone, things like that, because it's not a language that is really required. And Americans are very spoiled. In every other country you go to, typically they'll speak their first language, and then a lot of the times it's the second language. So if you can know a little bit of Portuguese to get around, then it'll make your experience far more pleasant. I was lucky because I had you as an interpreter the whole time, but not very many people get that luxury. So in addition to that, I would say just getting out there and exploring and trying to find a way to connect to locals and really get that hometown feel, and not just that touristy bus tour type of trip, because the memories are far better if you stay with somebody like I did with you.
Absolutely. Okay, what was your favorite thing about Brazil?
Ooh, that's a tough question to ask. Or to answer, I guess I'm not asking a question. The food was delicious. The food and even the weather. Even though I went during your winter, it was beautiful. I love rainy weather, and being able to drive up a random highway and all of a sudden there's this gorgeous waterfall just sitting on the side of the highway. We passed it and had to go back. I was like, we gotta go check out that waterfall. It was amazing, and it was really, I guess, exotic. It was beautiful and very, very unique. You don't see those kinds of things in Kansas, where I'm from. Even though we have beautiful attractions in the States, it's not something I was used to. So that was something that was really
nice. And what was your least favorite memory? Do you have any?
Memory?
For real?
Yeah, you already know. When we went to Rio, it was already a difficult time getting there because of a fog delay on our plane. We were 3 hours late taking off, and so that means that we had 3 hours less to commute to go visit the Christ Redeemer. And so we were rushing, and of course, you remember the story, but just so everybody else knows, I'll explain it. We got to Rio, and we had to jump onto a bus from the airport and then finally get to the place to drop off our bags so we could take another bus to go up to the Christ Redeemer. And we, in this rush, as soon as we got off the bus, we got to the bus station and we forgot our luggage on the bus in the middle of Rio, where our phones were dead, we had nobody to contact, we had the bag tag, but that was it, but we didn't know what bus we were on. So we just hauled butt to get to this bus, and luckily it was heavy traffic, and we ran about a quarter mile to catch up to it, started banging on the windows, like, let us in, we have to get to our bags. And out of nowhere, the bus driver, he was speaking English perfectly. And he was like, no en Portuguese, in English. And he started speaking perfect English. That was amazing. But we got our bags back. That was, I mean, for that big door situation that we had to experience, I think it was pretty okay.
It was okay. It turned out fine.
Yeah.
So, what was the best food that you had there? And drink?
The Nella Pietra. Pietra? How do you pronounce it?
Nella Pietra.
Nella Pietra. The pizza place that we went to was amazing, and I'm jealous that your family gets to go every single Friday.
I know.
Don't you miss it?
I do. Every day. All the time. Every second.
I'm jealous. Yeah, that was amazing pizza, and then also the pastels. I think we ate 3 pastels in one sitting. That was embarrassing, but delicious, and I don't regret it.
Me either. That was. And what about the drink? Do you remember you drank? That was
your
favorite.
Of course, the caipirinha.
Yes,
they're delicious, and every American needs to try one of those, without a doubt. But I remember when your mom first brought one out to us, she handed me this giant glass, and I saw her make it, and it was all the Steininger, and I was just like, oh, that is a lot of alcohol. How am I going to drink all that? But then she's like, oh yeah, and then she starts drinking out of my cup, and I'm like, what are you doing? That's my cup. But then I realized you just have the big one and you pass it around to everybody. And that's not something you see here. Everybody has their own drink, and so it was kind of fun.
It was a sharing experience.
Yeah.
And what was the favorite place, your most favorite place that you visited?
I'd have to say seeing the Christ Redeemer was pretty amazing. I mean, even though it is a huge tourist attraction, it is for a reason.
Yeah.
It's gorgeous, and to be able to look over the entire city of Rio, even though it was extremely foggy when we went, it was still amazing. I'm so glad we got to see that.
It did feel like we were, you know, in heaven.
Yeah.
With all that fog.
Yeah. We were in heaven with Jesus.
The clouds.
It just made sense.
Exactly. It was just perfect timing. What did you think of the nightlife in Brazil?
I remember telling you that, you know, here in the States, clubs usually shut down about 2 a.m. And I don't even make it past then. I'd probably go home about midnight if I ever do go out. I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to handle this. I know they stay up really late. But, you know, of course, you're there and you're having fun and you don't realize it, but it's 3, 4 a.m. But one thing that I really appreciate about Brazilian clubs is it's not trashy. You know, people really, they dress nice, they're sophisticated, they handle their alcohol. But a lot of the times, kids in America, they abuse it because they're like, oh, 21, I'm going to go out and just get crazy. But because it's a part of your culture, and I've been used to that because I have a lot of European culture in my family, and so it's not something that you abuse, while I think a lot of American kids can be kind of guilty of that. So I identify with that a lot. You know, you may stay up later, but you're still responsible.
Oh yeah, that's why you last so long.
I know, but I really enjoyed it, and I love the EDM music, and it was just a lot of fun. Good DJs.
Oh yes, they're great DJs.
We never did get to go to samba though.
Oh, we didn't.
No.
In Rio, we didn't. Oh, we didn't. Did we go out at all in Rio? I don't think we did. No, we were at that beach and it was very relaxing. And it was really good. We went to one little tiny bar.
Well, that was because we had such a hell of a day trying to just get out there, because you have to take a bus and a plane and then a taxi and then another bus and then another taxi and then a 3-hour bus ride to get out there, and that traffic's insane. We were like, I just need a cheeseburger and a beer.
Yes.
And just that, and I just want to go to sleep. So we did.
It was so great. It was awesome. What can you say in Portuguese? Do you remember something?
Of course. I remember how to say, oi. Oi, gato. Tudo bem? Vamos tomar a caipirinha. And zapatos. What else do I know how to say? I know some other
You know how to say thank you, I think.
Oh yeah, obrigado.
Yes.
Obrigado.
Yes.
What else do I know?
Huh.
Oh, and my name, Bridget.
Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's something that's pretty important too. To know how to say your name in the language of the country you're going to be in. Because I feel like a lot of people tend to call you by the way they say your name. So that's pretty important.
Like Ellie, I would say Eli in English. And so the whole time we were with him and his family, I kept wanting to call him Eli, and I was like, Ellie, like, what do I call him?
You're fine. You turned out just fine. And so finally, last question, how has the trip impacted you?
I would definitely say it's inspired me to want to travel more to other cultures that I've never experienced before. And not only that, but do so in an environment where you can really get a feel for the culture there. So it's very important that if you're going to travel, find somebody you know, make those relationships, because going on a bus tour is nothing like staying with a family. Not only is it cheaper, but the memories will last a lifetime. So.
And you get to know the real culture.
Absolutely.
The real Brazilian, Italian culture.
Brazilian, Italian, and German.
And German. You got all of it.
I know.
You were lucky.
It was very fun. But that'll be a trip that I'll cherish for the rest of my life.
Good. All right. Well, thank you very much. And we hope that you guys enjoy this and that it answers a lot of the questions that Brazilians might have and maybe some curiosities that Americans might have as well. Thank you.